Um, Today we're going to be talking about the Healthy Hawks program, and I'm actually going to be doing it, so you have to listen to me talk again, which I'm sure everyone has had a nice break from that as our peer educators have been doing most of our sustainabilities, and they do it so much better than me. I didn't even put together a PowerPoint, but I think this is a fantastic program. I would just want to talk about it a little bit, its importance, and why we're so grateful to have it at UNCW. So, to start out with, um, Healthy Hawk came to UNCW during a time when a lot of universities were really putting an emphasis on wellness programs and holistic wellness. So you have your mental health, your physical health, all of the other aspects of wellness. And I went to a conference with a lot of my peers within North Carolina when all of this was kind of coming into play, and they were all desperately trying to make sustainability or environmental wellness a part of their program at their university. Well, at UNCW, we didn't even have to ask, it was automatically implemented. The Healthy Hawks program is not owned by a specific entity, it's kind of commonly shared. But those who really put it together, like the health promotions, the Student Rec Center, I think there's another one I'm missing. I'm really sorry. They they had already thought about this, so we're really grateful. And I think it is really important that UNCW has environmental wellness or sustainability as a part of this program. With that being said, you will notice that most of the Healthy Hawks um, categories do end in AL, and we didn't make it environmental because sustainability is more than just environment. And we've talked about that in all of these sustainabilities. And we just wanted to make sure that that was covered within this wellness program. Um, I believe what we're going to look at today is going to be pretty obvious to everyone, how all of these interconnect. But I do want to go through the website so you can see whatever resources we have. And I do want to mention that wellness, especially right now, is so critical. We've talked on sustainability before where people may be experiencing eco anxiety on top of the after effects of COVID, on top of political anxiety, on top of all of these things. So, really taking care of yourself multidimensionally is critical for how we get through whatever the next timeline is before it all breaks. So, um, it is really important to drink your water, to get plenty of rest, to do these things, to give yourself that ability to fight off anxiety, sickness, and things like that. But also, maybe incorporating some of these other wellness factors will just help you with the 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 basics: water, food, getting plenty of exercise, things like that. I'm also going to mention that a lot of these, I'm going to go through them kind of in order of Maslow's hierarchy. So Maslow's hierarchy is a psychological pyramid, basically, where your needs have to be fulfilled on within this pattern of this pyramid. So you can't really worry about financial needs if you don't have food, water, shelter, which is the bottom of the hierarchy. The next one is physiological needs, love, caring, things of that nature. And then you move up. So I think that this is also really great because when people ask me oftentimes about sustainability, especially in areas where maybe I don't know, maybe people are experiencing things that college students or people who work at a university don't experience, my first go-to is Maslow's hierarchy. Like, do these populations that you're talking about or specific people talking about have all of the necessary things that they need within the hierarchy to get to what I consider the top, being sustainability or transcendence or caring about something beyond yourself, the next generation, the person who lives in another area that you don't live in that's being polluted by the factory that's living beside them. It is, I mean, it really does take a lot. personally to get to that level. So being able to take care of yourself so you can always be in that level where you care about other people, future generations, something outside of yourself, is really critical for sustainability to work. And I think that we all know what that looks like now. So I've already taken us to the Healthy Hawks webpage. Obviously, it's uncw.edu/healthyhawks. They have this really great thing at the top that kind of all the hot topics that are going on right now, so you can look through those. Um, and then it has the introduction of what being a healthy hawk is. So they, much like we have the tips and tricks to manage your personal well-being during COVID. And so we have that for sustainability as well. If you want to take a peek at, we should put that at the top of our website. But yeah, we have that as well. And then they also have a pledge and goals, just like we have, which is really nice. So when you scroll down here, you really do have this circle, this interconnectedness that is all of the different programs within the overarching Healthy Hawk program. And emotional, engagement, financial, intellectual, occupational, physical, spiritual, and sustainability. I feel like there's a few of these that you don't automatically think of when you think of wellness. I would never have considered financial wellness within my personal wellness when before this program came along. And then you realize that is not only a part of wellness, like I said, it's Maslow's hierarchy. It's part of that like comfort level so that you can start caring about the next level. Occupational is a lot about like how to get a job, which is really important for university students and for everyone right now. So this may be a website that someone you know outside of the university is struggling with, that you can send them this, and there are resources. So I'm going to click through a few of these. Actually, does someone want to throw one out that they want to see the page? Maya, what do you want?
Let's see. Physical.
Awesome. So when you click on the physical health page, it talks about all of the things that you would probably think of. I wouldn't necessarily think of resting, but the basics, movement, getting your aerobic activity, potentially, your building that muscle, pumping iron, eating well as resting. But you also have all these great off-campus um, resources that you can take a peek at, as well as some of the on campus. So they have the Teal Trail, the Hawks Harvest. It's a really, like, the website is so inclusive of everything. And then you can also take a peek at their events, which we'll go back to in just a moment. You'll see on the left-hand navigation over here, you can always toggle back easily to financial and see all the financial aspects, budgeting, savings. They chat on Tuesdays. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that. Um, so you can talk to the FAFSA. Oh, they do it like we do sustainability. Oh, tea on Tuesdays. That would have been a good one. Anyway, so as I mentioned, I think spiritual is a cool one. It's not, you know, it's not one of the longest websites that they have, but connection, meaning, and purpose. I think that's getting really close. So I would almost say like the way that this is developed almost this way is pretty close to Maslow's hierarchy. So starting with emotional and making sure you have that. I would start with physical. But anyway, long story short, I think this is a really cool website. I think everyone should look through it all the time and make sure that they're up to date with all of the different events and opportunities and resources UNCW and the community has to offer to help you become your healthiest hawkness self. Um, that is a pretty good overview. I will also mention that when you go on Wavelink, which is UNCW's events website where you can see all the student events that are happening, every event is almost every event is a healthy hawk event in some way. So you also start to realize that pretty much everything we do helps us become healthy hawks. Um, and now I am going to stop sharing. And unless you want me to pull anything up, I'm going to ask Brittany about being a gold level healthy hawk, which I didn't know about until 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Well, I will put the note in that through HR for staff and faculty, there is a Healthy Hawks workplace. So that is where I kind of filtered through as the gold level. So there's bronze, silver, and gold. And I was interested in it once the pandemic hit because, as y'all know, I work at the Center for Marine Science, so I'm not always on campus, and I can't readily take advantage of a lot of these HR programs because they require you to walk to the HR building and take a class. And that is an hour out of my day because I have to drive 30 minutes and then I have to drive 30 minutes back. So it just wasn't feasible for me, but the pandemic actually made it available. And I think that it was a really fantastic year to start something like this because I've always kind of been into whole wellness and like whole being and whatnot. So it really challenged me to focus on those things. My supervisor was supportive, so I was able to use some of my actual work time for this since it was an HR approved program. But I would definitely highly encourage y'all to at least challenge yourselves to try and be more well-rounded, whether you go through a specific program or not, but really thinking about these individual categories and how they're intersecting in your life. I know, like, I've been to therapy before, and one of the things I wanted to mention, because you talked about rest, there's a site called restquiz.com, and it shows you kind of where you need to rest in, meaning what do you need to spend more time in. That's what rest means in this case, not necessarily just watching Netflix, which might be part of your mental well-being, but it's like creative rest, spiritual rest, emotional rest, physical rest, which means if I need physical rest, I need to go work out. It doesn't mean I need to like rest my body necessarily. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of reflection, a lot of, a lot of these types of environments, especially over the pandemic. But yeah, so there you have it. If you have any specific questions,
Yeah, so you signed up for the program and then you went to specific meetings?
Yeah, so you go through like an initial coaching with HR. Like I said, I don't think this happens on the student side, but kind of just talking about your goals. And I talked to Molly Neese, and any of y'all that know her, she's basically like free therapy for us. She's great. And then there's certain requirements that you have to meet. I'm gonna click off if I'm looking over here. So three pre-approved well-being assessments. So that's like Forte, Clifton Strengths. I did the Enneagram, EQ, those kinds of assessments. 15 hours of formal classroom lectures or workshops. So that would be this kind of environment. I did a lot of those over quarantine. 15 hours of community service. Most of mine were at Rise Up Community Farm, which we've talked about a lot. 3 hours of physical or spiritual well-being activity of your choice. I did a lot of yoga. I did a jump rope through July challenge. I am really involved in my church and volunteer there. So I sing in the band, so that I considered that also part of my spiritual. I'm not sure if it technically counted, but I did a lot more yoga to satisfy that as well. 3 hours of sustainability or financial well-being. So I actually did just the sustainability. That's why I joined you guys all summer, which was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But also, COVID was a financial challenge in and of itself, and there were adjustments to be made. So I didn't take a class, but I felt like I was doing it. And then I had to do a final reflection at the end of all of it, on top of reflections for each of the 15 like courses that I had to go through and take. So